Hello friends, how are we doing? I live in the US, so that's how I'm doing. It's inauguration day. I've lost 3 nails. Charlie here gave me a nice scratch under my right eye, and I have more grays than ever. But we're gonna get through this together, and I know there's been a lot of concern for algorithms, especially with the Meta family. I don't really use any other social media platforms besides Instagram and YouTube, but I guess Pinterest, if that counts. But even Pinterest is full of ads now. We all know that, unfortunately. And YouTube's algorithm has been a little off the rocker lately. Also, not everybody posts long-form content, so Instagram is still my main platform at the moment until we all can find a nice alternative. I figured today I would just go over some of my favorite accounts on Instagram to help you kind of curate your feed a little better. If any of this looks like your style, follow them now, train your algorithm. I know we're all getting bombarded with just insane stuff right now, and the goal is to exhaust us. So here's a list of my favorite Instagram accounts that I love to have on my feed and my algorithm. My explore page isn't perfect, but I think once I started following accounts like these ones, I just naturally kind of snowballed into finding all the other ones. And under the fiber artist umbrella, I've included independent artists, designers, independent labels, small brands. Some of the accounts are pretty small, some of them are big. Hopefully you've seen one or two, and hopefully you like this kind of vibe. I'm very proud of my Instagram feed. These days, it's become ever more apparent that I am just in a nice little comfy corner on the internet. I keep hearing people, it really drives me insane that social media has ruined everyone's brains and it's ruining our attention span, and all of that I think is true to a degree, but from what I'm seeing is a little bit of like a renaissance in our favor, especially in the fiber arts community. These designers and artists all work with a variety of different textiles and fibers. I figured that broad term would kind of let you know what to expect, but I just cannot fathom the amount of incredible artists that are able to show their work and are able to do this for a living. And I think we shouldn't lose sight of that, everything going on. And that is to say a disclaimer that from what I've seen, some of them I have not followed for very long, but from what I've seen, there's no tomfoolery afoot, let's say. I haven't seen any concerning posts this week. This is the inauguration week, and anything I've seen from these artists, if anything, has been on the right side of history. So, also safe there, but I think there's a good variety on here. People to support, and that I think we need to turn our attention to. Well, all of this insanity is surrounding us. So, let's get into it. And these are in no particular order. I've just been screenshotting them as I've been scrolling the past couple days because I'm like, it's like a deep breath in the middle of all the craziness. So, no particular order. And like I said, they range from like a couple hundred followers to a couple 100,000. I don't think anyone has over maybe like 280,000 followers. So, yeah. Up first, we have Salt Studio, and it says his name is Joseph. Also, other disclaimer, forgive me if I say anyone's names wrong. You know how it is when you've only seen them in your little phone and never heard anyone say their name. Can I help you? Okay, so Salt Studio. I have not been able to purchase anything from him yet, but I really love his work. It's a streetwear brand, but there's just something a little bit futuristic about it, I guess. He puts a lot of emphasis on his fabric composition and everything. Like, you can feel it through the screen. It looks like the most comfortable sweats and sweatsuits I could imagine. And he just put out a crochet line of streetwear, which I am like dying over. I don't know if it's genuine crochet because we know how that goes. It could be factory knit made to look like crochet. He's calling it the crochet collection, so I have no reason to doubt him. His knit jerseys, I think, were one of the first things I tried to buy, but things sell out in 2 seconds. So I think he's kind of blowing up a little bit right now, which we love that for him. So he's our first, and then we have Rosary Erin Knits. I'm just like obsessed with her use of color. One of my goals this year is to be a little bit more experimental with my color choices. I am neutral girly at heart. I worked as a hairstylist for a little bit. I went to hair school, and we were required to wear all black all the time, and I loved it. And I love, a big part of my wardrobe is black still. This is technically a navy blue, but almost looks black, which I love. So I work with a lot of black and white and tan, but I don't know if it's current events going on or what, but these like loud, bold colors are they just speak to me. And she has these cute sets that are very tropical vibes. They give very like escapism to me, which is great. And I haven't bought anything from her either. I don't think I've bought anything from anyone, but very much love this brand. So cool, so inspiring. Can't say enough good things. Okay, next we have, hello Miss Charlie, what do you want me to get to? Sorry team. Okay, perfect. Okay, next up we have Mystery Archives. She is a knitwear designer. I feel like her clothing have that edge that I gravitate towards, and I think it's a little tougher to find in knitwear, rough around the edges. And like, it still looks professional and polished, but it's so experimental and so of the moment and so like, I don't know, futuristic. I just adore this label. I love her use of like drop stitches, intentional drop stitches, and the way the clothes look tattered, and it's just so visually striking to me. A great example of like another way to be experimental with color. This all bright red dress is so stunning. The way she layers her knits, the way she tells a story with her collections is very inspiring. Very cool. Next up, Anna, Instinct brand designer. I started following her personally first. Anna Molinart. I'm just gonna say Anna. Anna! Julia Fox has worn her stuff. She's really popped off on TikTok. I think I found her there. A lot of these people I found through TikTok brought over to Instagram, and that's how I got my algorithm pretty well trained on Instagram. And then I've since gotten off TikTok, but she works with a lot of quote-unquote trash. She uses a lot of recycled objects. She makes things out of plastic and bubble wrap and soda tap cans and thrifted pieces. I'm following her for a while, and I'm a big fan. This is a newer designer that I started following because I saw one of their pieces on Pinterest. And this is Grace. I believe it's Gooey. Again, not sure. But she had this really gorgeous knit bikini you might have seen on Pinterest, because of course you click on it once and now it's like all I see. But she uses knitwear and then this really gorgeous detailing, like with embroidery floss, I think, beads, and very like ethereal pieces that she creates. I think they're very cool. It's like she uses a knitting machine. It's not something you really see every day, those fine, almost like appliques. They're duplicate stitching. Looks like she uses maybe a little bit of felting and maybe just straight up embroidery to like embellish her pieces, but almost like a Regency feel with like a modern angst to it, which I'm all about. And next up, we have Joanna Christina. This is a rework brand. Rework. brand. Secondhand and dead stock materials. She does do a little bit of crochet. I believe I found her through Pinterest as well. I feel like every piece kind of, you can feel that story. And she does a lot of bags, and she works like mainly in pastel colors, which I don't think pastels look great on me, but I love the look of her pieces, and it's just good to have inspiration from people who don't necessarily match your style, but I can appreciate a good design when I see one. Next we have T Label, self-described romantic wear, which I would agree with. They work with a lot of pearls and beads and create these like mosaic, almost ethereal, again to use that word, pieces. But yeah, I think romantic's a great way to describe their image. And I just always admire from afar. I'm sure you've seen their work on Pinterest. I think that's how I found them, and I think a lot of these pieces go pretty viral pretty routinely. Just very, very gorgeous. So next we have Callie, who you may have seen because she is such a beast at knitting. She will do like a sweater in 3 days, and I have no clue how she does it, and she uses like 2.75 millimeter needles. She is incredible. She's a twin, and she's just a powerhouse knitter, and everything she makes looks so great. She's really good for like watching the process of a knit come together. I don't know how she does it, but big fan. She uses like a lot of earthy tones, and leans more towards like maybe jewel tones as well. Her and her sister are so super funny and just like I said, a breath of fresh air. Next up, what's Millie making? She's my latest favorite YouTuber. So I found her on YouTube, and then I followed her over to Instagram. And I think her Instagram's really gorgeous. She and I have a lot of the same tastes. Like when she references brands that inspired her pieces, they're all brands I love. Like Damson Matter and Lisa Says Ga, those kinds of brands. Her and I are aligned there. Knitting podcasts here on YouTube are very like chill. Just like hanging out with a friend. Not super overstimulating at all, and I think her feed is like that as well, which is nice. Loved this piece she did, the vintage pattern. This like bright pink striped cardigan is just so adorable. That's been my favorite piece of hers so far. Kevin is so cool. He, I think, is contracted with, the NHL. I found him on TikTok. He was reworking like old jerseys or reworking like lace tablecloths and lace curtains into very masculine structured pieces with sports paraphernalia on it, and it was just such a cool juxtaposition between the traditionally feminine associated fabric, this very lightweight, delicate fabric, with these like very typically masculine interests. And the jersey patches are thick, and their logos are usually like so opposite, and I really love to see how successful he's gotten, and I would love to see how successful he gets. I mean, on his Instagram is SZA wearing his jacket, his custom New York jacket, which is just, you can't get any cooler than designing for SZA in my book. So notice my taste in fashion and clothing and fiber artists tend to lean a little bit more on the street wear side of things, but I like to follow designers of any style, because as long as it's good design, it's good design. No matter what the style is, it doesn't mean I'm going to wear it, but I can appreciate it and get inspired. Next up, we have Paula's Projects, who I think went really crazy viral over on TikTok. She makes bags from recycled and natural materials. Like she's done some in oysters. Her designs are huge on Pinterest, at least on my feed. Some of these are like sea glass, plastic from plastic bottles. She uses a lot of just like found objects to make these really stunning and elegant handbags that I'm just in awe of. I guess she also crochets a little bit, which I hadn't seen that content, but that's exciting. And it's just eye candy, 100%. Okay, up next is Melissa Knits. Melissa actually designed a lot of SZA's tour looks for, I believe it was this last tour. Work is just so cool. It's so like unique. Believe she's a knitting machine, and of course anything looks cool on SZA, but she does have some like really interesting designs. I love these like photo shoots in the snow. I love the like very feminine but still kind of weird, and the looks are very, very fun and very inspiring as well. And the layering of like the different knit pieces is just very interesting and cool. Next is Denim, spelled D-E-N-E-M. Oh, because her name's M. Denim. She does these incredible, almost like murals on denim, where she's like kind of sanding and etching these really intricate designs onto denim looks. And not only is she just like so creative in that regard, but then she can also sew and make her own garments. Like quilted jacket, stunning. And again, her designs are like, they're not edgy, but I think denim inherently has like a rougher quality to it. So anyways, I think her designs are so cool, and they almost feel inspired by like different tattoo styles, and I'm just a big fan of her work. Okay, next up we have Ashley Kim, but specifically her Gallery of Alacrity. Anyways, it looks like she's launching a brand coming this fall, and I think that's kind of exciting to get in on the ground floor. Her normal page has a lot of her design content as well, and I think this like horse dress is just so cute and darling and reminiscent of the Ralph Lauren teddy bears, but the more modern, feminine take on it. And yeah, I found through Pinterest, but it was this like gorgeous lampshade of a swan, which I just think is so stunning, very creative, and executed very, very well. And I'm really excited to see what comes of her page. Alright, Vintage Look Upside. It says her name's Daria. Found her through these like huge chain link fabric scarves. I think that is so cool and very unique. And using the velvet was like an interesting touch to me. These like kind of patchwork pants she puts together, and I really love the like scrappiness of like upcycling designs, and it's chaotic but it comes together really well. I just think she's very talented and very cool. This is Je Blanc is alive. Again, I never said these things out loud. I think her name is Je suis Janice. I always say Je Blanc is alive. She makes these gorgeous beaded pieces, a lot of tops. She makes a lot of jewelry. Kali Uchis has worn her jewelry. Lotto has worn some of her work. Like, she just has worked with really, really cool celebrities. Chloe Bailey, like stunning. And these tops, they're just so like magical. What would you ever need that for? I'm not sure, but that makes me want it all the more. Like, so impractical, but so beautiful. It's just so fun and so inspiring. To me, she was the one to make these kind of tops popular in my book, but she's just the first one I saw doing them, and I think, in my opinion, does them the best. Her work proves it. Megan Fox has worn her stuff. Like, everybody has worn her stuff. JT, Danae Aiko, like, literally has worked with everybody. And I'm surprised that her account is only 34,000, but like, that's what I love about this little corner of the internet that I'm on, is I just feel like I'm with all the cool people. Like, anybody knows her, but that doesn't mean everybody knows her. You know what I mean? Anyways, big fan of her work as well. One day I'll be able to afford some of her pieces. That's the goal. Okay, Michaela Stark. Obsessed with Miss Michaela Stark. She works with corsetry and lingerie. She has a lingerie brand, Panty Studio, but she does a lot of photography with, I guess it's technically body contortion, but it's really just like corsets and lingerie that accents the body in such a strange way, and not that typical small waist, broad hips, standard, what we've been taught to believe is like beautiful. She really challenges all of that and like puts it right in your face and does incredible work. I really want to get her 2025 calendar, because that's probably all I can afford from her for the time being, but I'm just such a fan. She does these live performances in galleries, and a lot of her work is about the suffocating beauty standards that are put on women constantly to be perfect and to be afraid of like looking ugly. And I think it is just so cool and powerful, and something that I think really need right now, and something I can definitely relate to and find very inspiring, because I would be terrified. And I think this picture went really viral, Bring Back Giselle, because she did a collaboration with Victoria's Secret, because hello, she is the moment, and they were desperately trying to get relevant again. And so many hate comments were like, Bring Back Giselle, like basically just hating on Michaela and literally proving her point of her work of like, okay, you want to bring back super skinny models because you're uncomfortable right now, because she's making you uncomfortable. Why are you uncomfortable? That's the whole point. Anyway, so she made a merch tee that said Bring Back Giselle and wore it, showing her stomach, gouging food. Like, I just think she is just so cool. So it's definitely someone you should know and keep an eye on. Next up, All In Studio. I just started following them as well, but they did some work with Charlie XCX during her sweat tour during Brat Summer, who is Charlie of my own, is named after. Very cool stuff. Work with a lot of celebrities, it seems like, from what I can see, playing with femininity and look heavily inspired by the 80s. Their work's very interesting, and I just started following them, like I said, so I'm curious to see what else they put out, and I'll have to do a deep dive, but it looks like they're dressing Lily Rose Depp most recently. And next up, Libby Studio. If you're on Pinterest, you must have seen the scrunchie bag. It's definitely how I find her. I think that's one of her only patterns so far, but she has both knit and crochet versions of it, and the stripes I just think are so cool, so fun, so funky. She does a lot of she just wings it when it comes to her pieces, so a lot of freeform crochet and a lot of not necessarily traditional garment shapes. Like one side will be sleeveless and high neck, and then the other comes down low with a short cap sleeve or something. It's very interesting work. Her use of color is super interesting, and the yarns that she puts together, the textures and everything, and I'm really excited to see what else she comes up with. So she has this scrunchie bag and then a freeform crochet guide on her site. So we have Say Less Textiles. I'm obsessed with them. They are kind of avant-garde, I guess. Inspired a lot by horror and bugs. And I started following them when they were in the process of putting together this vegetable and fruit cardigan that I just think is so fun and so playful and so interesting. I never would have thought of that myself. And then I took a look at their page, and they have this computer crochet, really cool art, really cool content. They, I think, show in galleries right now. I don't know if they sell their pieces. It's so interesting, and it's just so how do you get all these designs to come together in a hand knit piece? I'm just in awe of their work and their talent, and a lot of these seemingly come together pretty fast from following on the outside looking in. But next we have, I'm not even gonna try to say their name, Gerit, I'm not sure, but they're an atelier, and somewhat similar to J Blanc is Alive in the fact that they use beads and chains and those kinds of materials, not necessarily fiber, but they're making garments out of. Nas X wore one of their pieces. I'm just always in awe of these kinds of garments, because I've tried to do some beaded stuff and it's just not where my inspiration lies, but I love looking at it, especially it's kind of old school Catholic with all the crosses, that very grandiose Catholic dripping in gold crosses kind of vibe to me that I think is very cool and reconceptualizing it this way in such a like scandalous piece is really interesting to me, that juxtaposition. It's almost like on the gothic side of history scale. Up we have Amber, Spicy Amby. She was one of the first people that I saw that made me realize like crochet and knitting can be like cool and edgy. And don't get me wrong, I always thought it was cool and interesting. I was in awe of the ability to make a garment from string, like baseline. Always thought that was cool, but I never really saw my style reflected in this craft until I saw her on TikTok, and she is just so cool. She has tattoos on her skull, and she makes these like really open pieces and these hoodies with crochet details, and I just think she is an icon. It's the moment. She makes these crochet frames, and I just feel like the creativity is like bursting at the seams when I see her pieces, and I'm a very big fan of hers. And she has a brand as well, Spicy brand. I think she is a badass, and she crochets with long nails, making us long nail girls have some representation. Not say enough good things. She is so cool. Step Tima Diola. I don't know how to say it, but she's based in Paris, and she, I think, crochets primarily. Again, very cool, unique silhouettes, very modern. I would say her design styles almost giving like Jaded London or even a little bit of like I Am Gia. Again, proving that like crochet can be cool and interesting. She creates a lot of interesting visual detail in her pieces. It's always so much to look at. I'm a big fan. Next up, Hot Mess by Elif. I found her because of a reel that went viral where she was felting these wool appliques onto knit pieces she had made. They almost look like sores or something, and I'm like, that is so sick, and that is so cool, and I've never seen that done before, and I've never seen felting with that application before. And actually, I did go out and buy some felting supplies. I haven't tried it yet, but so inspired. I'm really excited to see where she goes from here, and with the kind of like hooded silhouettes and these modern, like almost minimalistic, I guess, is that the word, or just these like raw, intense pieces really caught my attention, and I've been a fan ever since. All right, sounds a bit of a heavy hitter in the knitting community, but Kendall Ross had to include because I'm such a fan of her work. She is pretty big in the fiber arts space. Her pieces are so incredible, and I think it's so cool that she's, she talks about just like leaning into the fact that this craft is typically of a feminine dominated craft, and she doesn't want to shy away from the fact that like one of her quotes, I think she said, like, I don't shy away from the fact that it looks like it was made by a 22-year-old girl because it was made by a 22-year-old girl. Like, we're taught to believe that these things invalidate it somehow and make it less art and less worthy of that title, when we all know it takes a lot of skill, and it's very cool to see her interpretation of that come to life with her pieces. And she makes these huge like sweater vests, so impractical, like what would you ever need that for? But a lot of art isn't practical, and a lot of fiber artists feel like they need to have some sort of utility that comes with their pieces. I know, at least for me, because like I don't have a ton of expendable income, so when I'm buying this yarn and these supplies, I want it to be for something I'm actually gonna wear. I just love that contrast of like, no, like this is strictly an art piece. There's no mistaking that this is just for art, because you cannot possibly wear this. It's not practical. And I think that's so smart and so fascinating to witness. She just put out a recent collection about this guy talking to her and saying like, oh, I should have gotten into knit, and crafts are so trendy right now, and no one wants to show my pieces, but like, I like your work and I'm sure it'll improve. Anyways, I would go look at it, but my favorite piece from it was, then he said, but no, I actually like what you do, and I'm sure conceptually it'll improve. Craft's so in, but you want to make art, I assume? As if this couldn't possibly be art because it's just a craft that girls do for fun. Like, I don't know, she's a genius, and I'm excited to see where her career goes as well. Rachel Ellen Bogan, I think. She does incredible bead embroidery, like so detailed. Looks like stained glass. Like it looks like she takes a lot of inspiration from like the Renaissance era. Some of them are so hyper realistic, and she has these really cool concept bags where the beads are just dripping down from the bag, and you just have to see her work. It's really fascinating, and she's one that I know has been pretty outspoken in light of recent events, and I really appreciate her for that, and I want to keep supporting her, and I'm just in awe of what she can do. I would love to one day try beaded embroidery, but it's so intimidating, and I know I just want it to look like that, and it's not going to look like that until I put years into the practice. So I'm just going to admire her from afar for now, but she's very inspiring. And then last but not least, Audrey Montoya. She is a felting artist who makes these really surreal, little unsettling faces and little creatures on inanimate objects and body parts. And I just think they're so cool and so creepy and so interesting and fascinating. And the whole, like, I'm very curious about felting. I'm really excited to start, but I have a lot of whips going at the moment, so I'm trying to be responsible. I'm very, very impressed with her work, and I think it's so cartoony in the best way, and like I said, surreal, and surrealism is one of my favorite types of art, and I'm just in awe of what she can create with a little bit of roving wool. So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the list. So those are, I think it's just over 25, maybe 30 of my favorite fiber artists right now. You found some new pages to help your algorithm and can support these independent designers as they get buried in the news cycles, at least if you're in the US. I feel like I cannot open Instagram without seeing some insanity going on right now. And like I said, that's what they want. They want to overwhelm us, and they want us exhausted and distracted and confused and disoriented, and I would much rather put my time and energy on social media towards supporting and fostering creatives and independent artists and brands. And yeah, if you have any suggestions, please leave them in a comment. I'm always looking for more. Clearly, you know my taste. It's a little bit all over the board, but I think there's some pretty common themes with everybody on this list. And thank you so much for watching. Carly, would you like to say anything to the people? All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later.